Oh yeah, at the end of last year I was struggling with fuel costs, price of diesel and what have you, like everybody is. So I started looking at local sites and I found this quite important one, no more than a couple of miles from me. But sadly I can't actually get to it, due to a new Aldi warehouse being built and closing the lane off, which led to it. Progress, eh? But I did the research anyway, and it seems such an important site with very rare finds. I can't believe I've not heard of it before. Yeah, the Lockington Gold Hoard it's called. There's a book about it as well. The site is in the parish of Lockington and Hemmington, and it's in northwest Leicestershire, and it's very close to the Derbyshire border, South Derbyshire border. A bit about the two villages and what have you before I get to the main thing I was looking at. Now in Hemmington you've got the old Anglican church, which was built here in the 14th century, with its tower being even older, built in the 13th century. And it was abandoned in 1590, and the parishioners then attended the church at Lockington. Now this was very interesting. Gravel quarrying at Hemmington during the 1990s led to the discovery of 3 sets of remains from successive medieval bridges across the River Trent. Now these Hemmington bridges must have formed an important medieval crossing point over the Trent, because they were carrying the King's Highway linking Leicester and the south of England to Derby and the north of England. The earliest of the 3 bridges was constructed in the late 11th century and rebuilt in the early 12th following a calamitous flood in the area. And it's the most complete Saxon-Norman timber structure found in Britain. Each of the bridges was built slightly upstream of its predecessor, which demonstrates the importance of the crossing location. Now, since the excavation way back in the 90s, these nationally important timbers have been undergoing an innovative conservation process. For over 16 years the timbers have been immersed in a sugar solution, and then in 2010 the timbers were moved to a drying chamber for the final stages of the conservation. Now it's said that once restoration is complete, the timbers, part of the largest medieval wooden structure in the region after Lincoln Cathedral's roof, could be put on display, but I can't find any more about it at the moment, so I don't know if it's still in the drying stages. And very much later, in 1790s, the nearby Harrington Bridge was built to create a crossing over the Trent, and the new bridge was a toll bridge, and everyone except locals living in Hemilton, Lockington or Sawley in Derbyshire were required to pay the toll. Now let's get to the main site I was looking at. It's an early Bronze Age barrow cemetery near Lockington, and it lies in an area of sand and gravel on the River Trent's floodplain, on a triangular land bounded by the M1, the A6 trunk road and a railway line. Now the area was used as arable land, and aerial photos indicated at least 6 barrows, but only one of the targets had been investigated before, in 1954. Traces of cremation were found, and a small bronze knife. Also included 2 flint knives, a flint arrowhead, and possible beaker pottery. Now the site, in 1994, the site was threatened by the construction of the A564 Derby Southern Bypass, which was going right over the site, so it was in dire need of excavation. The survey included field walking and geophysical surveys, which found prehistoric material, struck flints, etc., and they recommended a full excavation before work started. Now, barrow number 6 which must have been directly threatened by the construction of the road, was surrounded by a ring ditch. Now, Neolithic pottery and leaf-shaped arrowheads were found here during the excavation, which showed earlier activity before the Bronze Age ritual barrow site was built. Now, there was a small pit, I think it numbered F5, discovered on the north of the ring ditch. It held some spectacular finds. There were 2 complete pottery vessels with 2 gold armlets and a copper dagger. And the 2 pots were found upside down, one inside the other, covering the gold armlets. Also found was the remains of a scabbard for the knife. Now, these gold armlets are extremely rare and show the skill of the Bronze Age goldsmiths. They were made from a band of sheet metal gold decorated by embossed ribs. And they're now permanently on display in the British Museum, I think in room 51. Now, the gold dagger is also very significant. It was the first of its type found in Britain and was buried with a wooden scabbard, which fragments were still attached to the blade, which is extremely rare. Also, these finds may have been in line of a possible entrance, but they showed no sign of a cremation. Another very interesting find, found at the north of the barrow, was a millstone grit block that contained cut marks. It's roughly triangular in shape, 250mm by 210mm. It had 8 hollows carved into it, between 20 and 40mm in diameter. And it probably originated in South Derbyshire close by. And it's conceivable that it may have been a marker stone indicating where the gold hoard's location was. This was such a rare and valuable find, I'm surprised I've never heard of it before. I'm glad I found it.